Hello, everyone, and welcome to the April 13th edition of Rant-Om Thoughts. Let's start off with some positive news. Lincoln Chafee, a has-been moderate Republican politician from a blue state who the Cosmotarians had been trying to shove down the LP's throat as the next Gary Johnson or the next Bill Weld, has dropped out of the race. Jacob Hornberger, civil rights attorney and grassroots educator, is winning primary after primary after primary. Now, regardless if there's going to be an actual physical convention that's going to be, postponed by about a month or two, or if they're just going to do a virtual online convention. And, the Libertarian Party has always been, trailblazers at this sort of thing. It looks like Jacob Hornberger will be the Libertarian Party nominee for 2020. And voters will have a real choice in November. They don't have to, be stuck picking between a disgraced and impeached incumbent versus a dementia-addled septuagenarian who has been credibly accused of rape a few weeks ago. Let's just cross our fingers here and hope that they don't cancel the election and crown Trump Führer for life. Now, last week, I said I don't trust the media. Yeah, it's true. I don't trust the mainstream media because, they lie and they cover up for liars, and but you also should be aware of the so-called alternative media, because there are a lot of rumors and misinformation just floating out there, and I'll give you a couple of examples right now. There's this theory floating around that coronavirus isn't really a virus, that it's actually 5G radiation that's making people sick. Now, there is some concern that 5G could be used to facilitate a massive and intrusive surveillance state, and that is something worth investigating and worth looking at. But theories that Corona is actually 5G, it's just, I believe it's just disinformation being floated around by the troll farms to discredit those of us who are questioning the official coronavirus narrative, and those of us who are questioning the necessity of the economic shutdown. Now, what could be worse than that? A little something called QAnon. For those of you who don't know what that is, it has its origins as a series of posts on the platform known as 4chan. An anonymous poster using the pseudonym of Q, claiming to be a high-ranking government official who has information about an international child trafficking ring involving well-known celebrities. And is being protected by rogue government entities that he, she, they, or whatever generically refers to as the deep state, and that Donald Trump is waging war against the deep state and their patrons. And they're always predicting that there's going to be some wave of high-profile arrests of celebrities that are involved in these child trafficking rings. And frequently, without fail, those predictions fall flat. And whenever Donald Trump does something that facilitates and advances the organized evil globalist agenda, or grows the surveillance state, or grows the police state, expands the size of big government, they always have some excuse for it. Bring up Jeffrey Epstein and Trump's connection to Epstein and Pedophile Island. And QAnon and QAnon's followers will throw out some, word salad about four-dimensional chess. They claim that it's a Machiavellian plan on Trump's part to keep himself many steps ahead of everyone else by keeping his enemies close. Whenever he appoints some CFR member, some Bilderberg trilateralist, some bankster stooge, neocon, into his cabinet, again, they deploy the 4D chess defense. Bump stock bans, pushing a ban on suppressors, pushing for red flag laws. Again, they use the 4D chess defense. The arrest and torture of both Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning. Again, they'll use the 4D chess defense during the impeachment proceedings when Julian Assange was removed from the Ecuadorian embassy in London, and the ball got rolling for the extradition to the U.S. The QAnon followers, the Q-tards, claimed that it was all a cover for bringing Assange here to testify against the Clintons and the quote-unquote deep state. Even though a lot of the people in Trump's administration have publicly expressed desire to give Julian Assange the death penalty. And now we're coming to the coronavirus, the coronavirus pandemic, the suppression of our liberties in the name of quote unquote public safety. And what is their response? Oh, it's 4D chess. It's a cover for Operation Storm. They just want to impose quarantine and it's just Donald Trump imposing quarantine and martial law so that the rich and famous pedophiles won't be able to flee or go on the lam. Okay, look, if you seriously believe that stuff, I want you to do me a very big favor. Stare at the palm of your hand for a while. Then curl each finger slowly until they are balled up really tight. Then wrap your thumb around your index and middle fingers, like so. Then I want you to hit yourself. Punch yourself repeatedly and hard until the stupid has been beaten out of you or until you lose consciousness, whichever occurs first. I mean, let's get real about something here. QAnon, Q is not a high-ranking official. Q isn't Donald Trump. Truth be told, the Trump campaign is very embarrassed about these people. They whenever they show up wearing QAnon type paraphernalia, the campaign advance people will actually make them turn the T-shirts inside out and leave the signs at the gate. Okay, because even they know that makes their guy look bad. And I can sure as hell tell you that it's not John F. Kennedy Jr. who after surviving a plane crash it's just garbage. Okay, it's just garbage. It's either, as some people are speculating, a live action role playing game that just spun way out of control and took on a life of its own when you had a bunch of people that I like to call downings, because there is this guy that used to be on my Facebook named Mark Downing who would uncritically believe everything he reads on the net. Yeah, downings who just, saw this and ran with it. Or it's the product of a bunch of trolls operating out of some alphabet soup former Soviet bloc country, and they're just doing this to poison the public discourse with literal, actual, bona fide fake news. So if you really do believe QAnon, if you really do follow this stuff, I have some very bad news for you. You are just as asleep, just as out of it, and just as detached from reality as those people out there who think they're doing their civic duty when they call the cops on people just for walking down a public sidewalk because they think they're breaking quarantine. Yeah. Now, I could, now as I've said on previous videos, I am conspiracy minded. It's very hard to be a student of history and an observer of current events and not be conspiracy minded. Very hard. I could go on for hours about what I believe is going on and what I believe isn't going on, but I thought I'd mention these two items here because right now currently they're the two biggest turds floating in the bowl. There's an Australian opinion journalist by the name of Caitlin Johnstone. Not someone I agree with on a daily basis, mind you, but she does a very good job of debunking QAnon, and I'll leave the links below for you if you're interested in looking at them. Now, before I go, I'm going to try this time to end it on a more positive note. About 3 years ago, a friend of mine got married. We went to Jamestown to enjoy his last night of bachelor freedom. Jamestown is a mining community out in the foothill regions east of Modesto. Before I continue with the story, I allow me to digress by saying that I love California mountain women. There's just a certain aesthetic about them that I find very appealing. Kind of a mix of redneck and hippie with a little bit of native thrown in there. Yeah, quite attractive. But back to the story I was about to tell. We went to a bourbon bar. That was one of our stops. And while I was there, I ordered a glass of this because it just caught my eye. Jefferson's Ocean. This whiskey, this bourbon is aged when the barrels are placed on a freighter and the freighter circumnavigates the globe. On an average voyage, this whiskey makes 3 trips around the planet. And I just got to tell you, this is the best bourbon that has ever passed these lips. And a few months ago, I found a store that carried it, purchased a bottle, I was going to save it for something very, very special. Didn't have in mind any specific event, but something special that will happen. And now I know what I will be saving it for. The day when the shutdown of our economy and our social lives end. The day when I can go to a bar on my night off. The day I can go to church on Sunday. The day when families are able to take their kids to the park without having to worry about some busybody calling the cops on them. You know, whether whether the government lifts that on their own, or whether it's going to take enough of we the people, standing up and saying, to hell with you, Gavin Newsom. To hell with you, Andrew Cuomo. To hell with you, Donald Trump. To hell with you. To hell with your new normal. To hell with your common good. We want our freedom back. When that day comes, I am going to pour about 3 fingers of this and drink to freedom. This is Charles Bird signing off. Think while it's still legal. See you next time.